Hi, thanks for joining me again today. I'm Chef Robbie Myers here at Spokes. You're in our kitchen again with us. We're going to be going over one of our second dishes we're going to be offering starting Wednesday with our new service. It's a take-home meal service, kind of like the ones you see out there, a little more amped up on our end because we want it to be a better experience for you guys. It'll have written instructions typed and printed out and put in the bag, as well as this video to reference. And we hope you thoroughly enjoy cooking these dishes as much as we do. And this is an exciting experience for us during these, difficult times. The meal that we're doing now is actually the pork tenderloin meal. It is a creamy sage smothered pork tenderloin with sauteed white beans and spinach. This is what you'll be receiving in the bag. Your main entree container, which will hold your white beans, a half a lemon that you'll be squeezing into the saute as you make it, some sun-dried tomatoes that goes with the white beans as well, our house-made butter that you'll be using to saute, and then this is just some basic cream that you'll be reducing or cooking to turn into a sauce to make the sage cream, and some seasoning mix, heavy rubbed sage specifically for the sauce, as well as a big old bag of fresh spinach. Don't worry, it looks more intimidating than what it is. It reduces down to almost nothing. This will probably yield or give you about maybe a quarter to a half a cup of actual cooked spinach. So, but you need about that much to get that, as well as the standard. Well, not standard, it's actually one of our great salads that we offer here on a regular basis, the apple pecan salad. That's included as well. To do this specific recipe, you'll need a couple things, obviously, that we don't provide: skillets. One small to medium-sized skillet, larger if you're doing this for more than one or two people. A smaller skillet or saucepan. A saucepan is kind of like this, but obviously a lot smaller and not as wide. But any pan would work, and that's specifically going to be used to reduce your cream and create your sauce. As well as a sheet tray or a cookie sheet, and you'll be using an oven as well. And how that's put together at the end, I'll show you here. You're going to start out on a previous video we just did. One of the core things that's these gloves are not meant for big hands. They're extra large too. One of the core things I kind of touched on, specifically for cooking proteins or reheating proteins, is tempering. You really want to temper your meat or your leftovers or whatever it is that you're going to be cooking, especially something like this. It's going to allow that chilled, like inside of it's gonna, that chilled refrigeration is going to kind of leave it. So you pull something like that out, or even if you're cooking a steak at home, a raw steak, you pull it out 30 to 45 minutes before you cook it. And basically what that's going to do, it's going to allow that protein specifically to cook faster, cook in a more even fashion, so it's going to cook evenly. And you're going to retain more of that moisture. So you won't have to hit, or you won't have to cook it on a crazy heat for a crazy long time because you're trying to knock out all that cold air. You let it set at room temperature. That's tempering. We've already actually allowed this to temper for the video. So basically what you're going to do, it's already been pre-seared. You're going to put it on your cookie sheet. You can line it with parchment paper or aluminum foil. You're going to put it in a 350 degree oven for about 5 to 10 minutes, roughly the amount of time it takes to do the rest of the dinner. Right away, you're going to start heating up your cream. Add your cream directly to this. I prefer to use a smaller skillet. You have more surface area, so it actually heats up a lot faster and it reduces a lot faster. So you're cooking a lot of the liquid out of the heavy cream, and it condenses down into a saucy kind of thickness, which is what we want. It's a reduction. So we'll get that going. And then in our larger skillet, we'll heat up to about medium-high heat. Also, any extra, there we go, it's starting to simmer now. Any extra seasonings, I mean, feel free to play with the kits. I mean, these ones were designed by myself. They're very simple but powerful flavors. They're stuff that we've done here at Smokes before. And most people thoroughly enjoy it. They really enjoy some of these flavors, which is why I wanted to offer them for this week's features. But if you are a big fan of red pepper flakes or cayenne, you want to spice this up, by all means, add some extra seasoning if that's something that you want. And if you don't, this will definitely, it has a lot of great flavor to it. So, when you actually start to reduce this, you have to be careful with most dairy items. As it starts to boil, if it starts to come like it's going to pour over, you just reduce the heat, take it off the heat if you have to, and kind of find the sweet spot where it can sit there and simmer without boiling over. So I dropped the temperature of, lowered the heat on this skillet specifically, and this one's looks like it's heated up as well. Add my butter straight to the skillet. If this skillet is a little, you don't want to burn the butter, so if you have to lower the heat on this, you know, by all means do, but it should do fine under the medium to high. So you're going to add your spinach in 2 batches because you don't want it to overflow. You want to be able to actually kind of work with what's in the pan. This is actually a great point if you like to use wine when you cook. Just splash a little bit of white wine in there. It helps kind of perfume all the spinach with that, wine flavor. So now you can see it's starting to reduce. It's getting thicker. This is where I'm going to add This is, you could do this at different times just to, so you don't have to juggle both hands like this if you don't want to stress too much over it. So one pretty important part that I forgot to kind of touch base on, when you're reducing your cream or making your sauce, you want to be careful not to do it on too high of a temperature, and you really want to pay attention. So I would recommend highly that you do it at separate times, and when you do this, you just pay close attention, because you don't want to over reduce it. You want it to get to where it just coats the back of a spoon. If you go too high of heat or for too long, it'll start to separate, and it's not a very, I mean, it still tastes all right, but it's not very pleasant to look at when it's finished. But moving on, back to the spinach. We're going to add our sun-dried tomatoes. And our white beans. And then a half a lemon. If you have a strainer, you can use a strainer. It'll be a little easier. Or more white wine if you don't want lemon. Wine's good. Beer actually works amazing for this too. And then if you have any extra seasonings, I would recommend just a pinch of salt. This only takes about, I'd say about 4 or 5 minutes. And then it should be perfect timing. You just want to pull your meat out. And you typically want to let this rest about, I would say, another 5 to 10 minutes, same amount of time you reheated it for. This sauteed white beans and spinach, if you're into spicy food, it actually, red pepper flakes go amazing in it. You could do a lot of different things with changing the direction of the flavors themselves. It's very receptive of it. The spinach absorbs a lot of moisture, so any liquid you put in there is going to naturally get absorbed by the spinach as well as those white beans. They do the same thing. And moving right on to plating. Pretty nice. Again, these are pretty hearty portions. Use your favorite bowl or plate, your favorite china. I am cutting this a lot sooner than I usually would, just for the sake of the video. I don't think too many people want to watch us staring at pork for the next 5 or 10 minutes. And it's actually a great example of why you should wait. This liquid, you still get some liquid when you slice the meat after you wait. It's just not as much. And that is essentially the juiciness leaving the pork. So you want to avoid cutting it early because you'll get this. And then to finish, you hit it with that beautiful reduced sage cream. Now, that doesn't scream Christmas or fall. I don't know what does. That's like the perfect seasonal hearty dish. The beans, they stick to your ribs. You know the saying. It'll warm you up before you go out to snow plow or shovel snow. One of my favorite flavor combinations: pork and the white beans and spinach. I hope you enjoy. And please, if you have any questions about any of the dishes we're offering this week, leave a comment under one of the videos. I will personally do my best to answer any questions as quickly as I can. And again, I hope you enjoy. Merry Christmas.